Okay, this first section is on about responsibilities and key legislation. So it is important to use pesticides safely and correctly. If you don't, you can put people, including yourself, at risk of serious damage to health and even possibly death. You can put the environment at risk of pollution, and you will be breaking the law and could be prosecuted. So they're the three main reasons for using them safely. So a pesticide is defined as any substance, preparation or organism prepared for or used to control or destroy any pest. So the main types of pesticides and plant protection products are fungicides to control fungal infections, herbicides to control weeds and other unwanted plants, insecticides to control bugs, molluscicides to control slugs and snails, rodenticides to control rats and mice, and vertebrate control agents to control small animals and birds. Okay, so in this activity you have to match the pesticide to its use. So if it kills weeds, so that's going to be herbicide. Kills rats, so that's a rodent, so rodenticide. Kills fungi, so fungicide, and kills slugs, molluscicide. Okay, so check those. Yeah, alright. Okay, so the Code of Practice for using plant protection products is produced by DEFRA and the Health and Safety Commission. The code has special legal status. It is your responsibility under the law to follow the advice in the Code of Practice. If you do this, you will be doing enough to keep within the law when you use pesticides. If you do not follow the code, you could be prosecuted. The code includes the relevant parts of other legislation relating to pesticides. The code is for anyone, including contractors who use pesticides professionally, so on farms or holdings, in horticulture, in forestry, on amenity areas, industrial areas and sports grounds. The code is not for people who use pesticides in their homes or who garden as a hobby. As well as reading the code and following its advice, operators should keep up to date with relevant legislation. There are a number of laws that control the use of pesticides. Their aim is to make sure that pesticides are used safely. So key legislation. So the first one is the Food and Environmental Protection Act, also known as FEPA, which was brought in 1985, and also the Control of Pesticides Regulations, COPR, C-O-P-R. So your responsibilities are to use safe, effective and humane methods of controlling pests and to protect the health of people, creatures and plants and the environment, and to only use approved pesticide products. So key legislation, also the Health and Safety at Work Act 1974, and your responsibility is to take reasonable care of your own health and the safety of others, including wearing PPE where necessary. This will involve complying with any risk assessment that has been carried out. Other key legislation, the Control of Substance Hazardous to Health Regulations, also known as COSH, which came in 2002. And your responsibilities for this is to comply with the risk assessment that's been carried out. Other key legislation, Groundwater Regulations, 1998. So your responsibilities are to prevent pesticides from entering or polluting groundwater. And the last key legislation, the Agricultural Waste Regulations 2006, and that's to comply with methods for disposal of pesticides and containers. Just one more legislation, and that's the Environmental Protection Act and your responsibility is to not to treat, keep or dispose of controlled waste in a way likely to pollute the environment or harm people. Okay, so this activity is just asking us to match the two. So aim to prevent pollution. Just going to have a bit of a guess here. Go for that one. Say that only approved products should be used. So we'll go for Kosh for that one. Encourage a safe main method. Put that one there. Okay, I only got one right there. I'll move on from that. Okay, many pesticides are hazardous to health. A substance is hazardous if it could harm people, plants, creatures, apart from those being treated, or the environment. So look at the container to see if the product is classified as toxic, very toxic, harmful, irritant or corrosive, or has a workplace exposure limit. If the pesticide is regarded as hazardous, the Kosh regulations may apply. You will see the following phrase on the container label. The control of substances hazardous to health regulations may apply to the use of this product at work. Under the regulations, an employer or self-employed person must carry out a suitable and sufficient risk assessment before a pesticide is used. The Code of Practice says that you should check the following before using any pesticide. So firstly, that there is an appropriate environmental risk assessment of the site that specifies measures to protect wildlife and the environment. And 2, check equipment to make sure it is in good order and works correctly and accurately. And 3, taking measures to keep livestock or people out of the treated area if this is required. The Code of Practice says that everyone who uses pesticides professionally must have adequate training in using them safely, be skilled in the job they are carrying out. Sometimes the law says that users must have a certificate of competence. The type of certificate needed depends on the application method and the product used. Who needs a certificate? So everyone born after the 31st of December 1964 and everybody who is working as a contractor. If you need a certificate but do not have one, you must be supervised by someone who has. They need to be able to see and hear you doing all parts of the task. After they have gained a certificate, all operators should keep up to date with pesticide regulations. The PA series of awards for pesticide users. The most commonly held certificates of competence in land-based industry are the City and Guilds Pesticide Award Series, including PA1 Foundation Unit, PA2 for boom sprayer, mounted, trailed or self-propelled, and PA6 handheld applicators. Continuous professional development. To keep up to date with the developments, it is advisable to join one or two professional registers. These are National Register of Spraying Operators or National Amenity Sprayer Operator Register. Both registers, which are administered by City and Guilds, are open to operators who hold awards in the PA series and require you to collect 30 or more CPD points in each 3-year period. There are a wide range of events and courses approved by NROSO and NASOR which count towards these points. Okay, so this is just a brief quiz for you to do. I'll go through it, but if you do it in your own time. Legal status of the Code of Practice means that the advice it gives is reliable. You must keep a copy with you when you apply a pesticide. You can be prosecuted if you do not follow it. You must remember all the information in it. So I'm just going to go for you can be prosecuted. Okay. Which of the following does the code not apply to? A person with an allotment, a smallholder, a forester, a person who maintains sports turf. So I'm going to go for an allotment because that's just like a DIY user. Yeah, okay. Under the Health and Safety at Work Act, you should use pesticides in a humane way, wear PPE when using pesticides if necessary, avoid using pesticides near water, and take steps to avoid polluting the environment. So because it's the health and safety, I'm going to go for PPE. Yeah, that's correct. What does the Code of Practice say about training? So everyone who uses pesticides must have a certificate of competence. Anyone who uses pesticides must be observed by a trained operator. Okay, so I think it's that one because... Oh, no. Let's go for that one. Okay. Yeah, so everyone who uses pesticides professionally must be trained. Okay. Before applying pesticides to a site, the law says that an environmental risk assessment must be made. The local authority must be informed, the environmental agency must be informed, any PPUs must be approved. So I'm going to go for an environmental risk assessment. Yes, that's right. The Code of Practice says that when applying a pesticide, the operator must carry out a COSH assessment, comply with a COSH assessment, check whether a COSH assessment is needed, review and revise a COSH assessment. So this is regarding the operator, so I'm going to go for comply with a COSH assessment because you don't actually have to do it, I don't think. Yep. Follow the advice in the Pesticides Code of Practice, must be supplemented by knowledge of other laws, means nothing can go wrong, will ensure you keep within the law, is not legally binding, so I think it's will ensure you keep within the law. Okay. Before applying pesticides, operators must check that equipment is calibrated and in good condition. Equipment has been approved by HSE. The operator has an NPTC certificate. The employer is insured. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be calibration. Okay. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll give you this quiz to do on your own so you can go through it in your own time, but that's just to give you a bit of an idea. And we'll move on to the next section.